welcome to my 9th podcast. Zoe, where are you going? Are you leaving? Are you leaving me? Come back, come. Oh, okay, fine. Hello, and welcome to my 9th knitting podcast. And welcome to returning viewers, and thank you for watching if you are a new viewer. This is not my usual podcasting co-host. This is my usual podcasting co-host, and the other one is rather reluctant, probably because it's very hot today. It is 27 degrees Celsius and I'm really hot. This will be a theme throughout the entire thing. So come up here. Good girl. Okay, so as I was saying, I'm now in South Africa with my family, and if you usually watch this podcast, you will know that I usually podcast in Edinburgh with my husband. Well, not with my husband, but where I live with my husband. But I'm currently in South Africa with my family where I grew up, and unfortunately my husband is still in Edinburgh, so I miss him a lot. And this is Zoe, if you've never met Zoe before. Zoe! Look at the camera! Zoe! Anyway. What else can I tell you? Oh, okay, where you can find me. I am on Ravelry as Craft Needle Addict, and I am also on Instagram as XUBX. And you can now also find us in our new Ravelry knitting group, podcast group, which is just the Needle Addict podcast. And I will put a link in the description box and in my show notes, which are found on my website, and you can find a link to that in the description box as well. So, I think there's, oh yeah, and as you can see, I'm not wearing as much makeup as I usually do because it's hot. This is just like a theme that's going to be running through. So I thought that being autumn, being April, I was going to miss the heat coming back now, but I was wrong. I was very wrong. It is still terribly hot. And so, let's just get started with our knitting and sewing things. So, oh, my hand's dirty. Zoe, you're dirty. Do you know that, Zoe? You're dirty. So the first thing I have is my first finished object, which is not knitting. It is my dress. I sewed this dress yesterday. Okay, Zoe has decided not to join us anymore, so that's fine. You will just have me and Koo. So this dress is a dress which I sewed using a new look pattern, which I showed on my podcast I think last week or the week before, and this was my mock-up. So I really like the fabric that I chose. It was actually just fabric that I had lying around my stash, which is here in Cape Town, and when I was looking through it, I was trying to find something for the contrast band. I came across this and I actually thought it looked so nice, and so I probably will still wear it even though it's just a mock-up. But I had a little bit of an issue with the whole sizing thing. So I measured myself, and the measurements that I took looked on the pattern to be a size 16, which I thought was odd because usually I buy like a size 10 at the shop, so I thought this is a bit weird, this size 16. But I measured myself, and then I asked my mom, and she helped me measure myself, and then we measured the pattern, and it didn't matter how many times and which way we measured, my measurements kept coming out saying that I was a size 16. So I thought, well, that's a bit strange, but whatever, it's fine. So I cut out all my pieces to size 16, and when I was sewing this up, luckily I hadn't put the zip in yet so I could sort of rectify it. It was massive. It was way too big for me. So yeah, I had to make it smaller, which is fine because it's a mock-up, and that's why you do a mock-up, so that you don't waste your nice material. Although this is pretty nice material. And I really like it. It's got like a lining on the inside. And that means I think that it'll be nice, quite warm for sort of like autumn, spring in the UK, because I was worried if I make it out of cotton or something like that, if I make my next one out of cotton, that it might be a bit cold. But I think with the lining and the interfacing and everything, it's probably not going to be that cold. I'm in the sun. I think I'm burning. Anyway, what else can I tell you about this? Also did the sleeve slightly differently to what the pattern suggested. You were supposed to sew the sleeve inside the arm apart and then turn it inside out, and that way you wouldn't have this top stitching here, but the problem is when I tried that, my stitching, like the sewing machine caught other bits of my fabric and it came out quite puckered and stuff, and I just decided that I would find it easier to sew it on, like turn it over and sew it on, and then I'd rather just have the top stitching than a puckered sleeve. So other than that, I'm quite happy with that. I don't think I'll be sewing another dress this week. I think I might sew one next week, so there might be another one for the next podcast, I'm not sure. But yeah, this took me, well, I cut the pieces out on one day and then it took a whole day of sewing on the other day. But I did go really slowly and I had to unpick a couple of times when I made mistakes and that sort of thing. But as I've said before, I'm not really like a very good seamstress, so I'm still sort of learning and finding things out and having to look stuff up on Google all the time. So I'm quite happy with how that came out. Oops. Some water. No fancy tea, just water, because as I said, running theme, it's hot. So for my work in progress, I have a pair of socks which I started last time, and I'm sure you will have seen on my last podcast, and these are a surprise for someone, or a present for someone, and my balls are looking a bit squished because I'm using them. But these were supposed to be my airplane knitting, and it did okay. I knit quite a bit at the airport. Well, I had a 5-hour layover, so I had quite a bit of time then to knit, and I knit quite a bit, and that was nice. And then I tried knitting on the airplane, and it was okay until they turned the lights off. And then after knitting a couple of rounds, I counted the next round that I knit, and I had somehow increased my stitches, so I was just like, you know what? I need to just stop this. But then I thought, no, maybe if I unpick it backwards and get rid of the increase, then if I knit slowly and count every time, then I can still knit in the dark, because I had a 12-hour flight. I had nothing else to do. So I tried this and I couldn't figure out how to, because it was dark, and I tried putting my little light thingy on, but my light wasn't working, and the screen from the TV wasn't, the light coming from the TV screen wasn't bright enough. And I tried using my phone, but the lady next to me was asleep, so I was really worried about waking her up. So I tried unpacking it a bit, and that didn't really work, so eventually I thought, oh well, maybe okay, I was sleep deprived. Okay, I decided maybe if I pull the needle out and I unravel some of the threads, then I can pick them up. Oh my goodness, that did not work. That was terrible. So then eventually I had to wait until morning. Well, people all had like their little blind things down, so it was only like 9 o'clock in the morning when it was light enough to actually see, because that's when people started opening them, even though the sun had been up for hours. So then I managed to pull back and pick up the stitches again, but like doing that in the dark was the dumbest thing I ever tried. So I actually didn't get that much knitting done on the airplane, and since I've been here, I'm gonna say it again, it's been really hot, so I haven't really been that much in the mood for knitting. I've actually been more in the mood for sewing, because I don't know, it's just less hot. But yeah, obviously I really want to finish these for the person who's receiving them, and I also have I have a scarf I'm knitting my dad and a shawl I'm knitting my mom, so I will be doing knitting. I'm just not knitting as fast as I was in Edinburgh, because it's also because I've got a lot of family and friends and everyone's excited to see me. They haven't seen me in a couple of months, so it's just nice to be meeting people and doing other things. So unfortunately my crafting has been taking a bit of a backseat, but yeah, it's still happening. I don't know what else I can tell you about these. I made notes on my phone because I didn't manage to print my notes this week. Oh, my knitting through security. So as you might remember, I was really nervous about getting my knitting through the security, and it actually went fine. The first time I went through security, because I had to go through security twice, once in Edinburgh and once in London, and the first time I went through, my bag went into like the sort of aisle where they're checking things. So the lady called me over and said, "Is this your bag?" So I said yes. So she said, "Oh no, the reason it's here is because my laptop bag. I'd put it separate to my laptop because if you fly you have to take your laptop out of your laptop bag and it's not allowed to have anything covering it. So even though I put them next to each other, somehow when it went through the machine, like there must have been something that brushed it and it fell over on top of my laptop. So that's why it got pushed into the like suspicious security lane. So she put it through again and kept them separate this time, and then it was fine. So that was absolutely fine, but my heart was kind of racing at the time because I was like, oh no, it's gonna be my needles, that's why it's gonna be my needles. And then the second time I went through security, it was absolutely fine, nothing happened at all, but there was, it did take quite a long time, so I was like starting to think like, oh, I wonder if they've detained it to check or something. I was like quite nervous. And also there was a guy next to me who packed like so much liquid. You're only allowed to take a little bit of liquid, and then it has to be in like the right size things, and it has to be in plastic packets, and he just had all this liquid, and some of it was alcohol and all sorts of things in his bag, and so they were having to like empty out every single one of his bags and swab it down with these things, and he was complaining like mad, and the security was saying, I'm sorry, this is our job, there's nothing we can do, and don't you want to feel safe knowing that we do this to everyone who doesn't follow the directions. But anyway, so it wasn't really a problem, but it was kind of making me nervous about my stuff coming through, but it came through fine and I got to knit. So other than not actually getting much knitting done, I have managed to fly on the airplane with my needles, so I think I'll be much more confident about it next time. And hopefully I will have a light, little light thing next time that actually works. And so that's pretty much everything I have to tell you about my socks. What do I have? Oh, so I'm trying to keep this episode quick, as you might know, because my internet is probably not going to be very easy to upload things here, but quickly I'll tell you some needleless chatter. I have decided, since last time I told you that I've discovered that I'm a Hufflepuff, I went on the Pottermore website and I discovered I'm Hufflepuff, and I was chatting to my friend about it, and he was saying, oh, it makes me feel like rereading the books. Now, when I was really young, my parents read me the one book, and then I think I just watched the movies after that. I don't think I've really read the rest of the books. So I was like, oh, I really want to reread / read the books. So we decided, we've both got a copy of the books, and we're busy reading together. And it was so funny because we kind of set like a rough deadline that we're going to be finishing the first book by sometime next week. And so like 2 nights ago, I messaged him and said, oh, I managed to read the first chapter, but then I had to go to sleep because I usually read before I go to sleep. And he was like, oh, him too, him as well. And then last night I was reading and I read chapter 2 and chapter 3, and then this afternoon my friend messaged me and was like, oh, I just read to chapter 4. I was like, wait, did you read chapter 4 or did you read up to chapter 4? He was like, no, you read up to chapter 4. I was like, me too! So it's quite cool, it's quite fun busy reading the story again with someone else. Yeah, and it also is keeping me going because I find often if I have the option to read or to knit, I'll end up knitting instead, whereas this is nice, like having something that keeps you reading as well. It's nice because I want to read more books and get back into reading because I used to read a lot and now I haven't really been reading much. So I need a balance. I mean, I do a lot of knitting, so I'm sure I could take out an hour or two here or there to do some reading. But other than that, I'm very hot. I think that's it for the podcast this week. Zoe, are you gonna say goodbye? Come say goodbye. Come on, come, Zoe. Come on. Zoe, is it too hot? Come on. Oh yes. Say goodbye. Say goodbye to the camera. You don't know what's going on. You think there's no one there. Doesn't look like there's anyone there. Mwah. Okay, it's too hot. I know. Okay. I bought these little point protectors or stitch stoppers, whatever you want to call them. Not because I actually need them. I have never had a problem with my socks so far of them slipping off the needles. I've never had a problem. I just kind of push it back to here and they don't come off. But I thought that going through security, maybe having these cute little rubber stoppers would make my needles look less like deadly weapons and more like cute crafty things. So yeah, that's why I have these.